And this is what has caused me to sort of come into this end, in spite of all the points I have made in other videos about what inspires me to do this. And I chose two major books that I have got a opportunity to look into, which is the Holy Quran, a book that is cherished by many thousands, millions of people, that they held onto it as the word of a living God who sort of made a triumphant entry, and somehow, not necessarily triumphant entry, but came upon a chosen man and used him to sort of pass the message. Now I am doubting all these words to be God's word, and that is what this video is about. Now I have to prove my doubts. I have to prove, and you have to make for yourself the mind. Am I trying to stop the organization or the book's work or anything? No. I am a seeker of God. I'm somebody who is interested in knowing the truth. My intentions are purely to sort of review what is false and to discover what is true. If I find things in this book that are sensible and wise, I accept it. Sometimes I even use the wisdom or the wise things that's been said. But if we define these books, the Quran especially, as being the word of the living supreme God, then we must be able to prove that. That first proof is being able to sort of show that every Tom, Dick, and Harry in the book, every word, every letter, everything has come from the words, from the heart of God, the mind of God, and is accurate, and there are no mistakes, there are no errors. Because God is error-free. There is no errors from the utterances of God, nor his handiwork. And if there are errors, then it's in question. So if I discover errors, then I must pull it out. If I discover that a statement made conflicts with our way of life or the attitude of the followers, somehow give away the honesty and what the faith stand for, then I must bring it out. I said, okay, how did they end up do that? And I discover that they have been given the authority to do that. Then I will have the doubts coming in saying that this is not what I'm looking for. Because who knows? I may be an Islamic person tomorrow. I may become, most of the time, people who find themselves doubting and rejecting something very much, they end up becoming that. There are so many accounts that leads to what I'm trying to point here. So who knows? Maybe I may be saying this and end up becoming a Muslim. Or I may be saying this and end up going back from my backsliding ways to what? Christianity. Because I may say a Christian in the way I present things. There are many who will condemn and say he's a backslider. Because others are holding on to the teachings that keeps them in tune, never to turn back. It is all written in the book that you shouldn't give in the last days. And the last days that has been written in this book has always been the last days, and we've never seen the true days that are last days. There were last days 1,000 years ago. There were last days 500 years ago. There were last days 200 years ago. 100 years ago there were last days. Today we are in the last days. Nobody knows what the last days will really be. So the next generation will also have this book if it is kept and sent to them, and they will think the same way. We are in the last days. And God knows how many people before us or this generation have thought the last days like we are thinking the last days today. Now, I don't mind if it happens or whatever is being said in this book happens. It won't be strange to me. I mean, there are paganist practices which prophesied and said things, that those things happen. At the end of the day, there's mysteries of spiritual works that really does happen practically or takes place in life, and that cannot be doubted. So it's also a spiritual book. these books are also spiritual books, and they can have some impact in their prophecies or the things they say. But I generally want to be able to know that it is really from God. Is it really from the source of life, the very place that we all came from, the Father, the one and only true Father, or let's say the power by which we were all produced, whether the earth produced us, or whether the sun produced us, or whether the mystical divine God somewhere that we do not see produced us, whether the Spirit brought us into being, whether we grew out of the earth like the trees grew out of the earth. All needs to be proven. I mean, this book was found by archaeologists in the ground, in the earth, and all that. Maybe the earth, this entire earth has been producing things. Maybe it's been producing the book. Who knows? I don't know. Strange things has come out of this earth that we have seen. Strange things. So maybe the earth has been producing all these things, and we ourselves have been being produced, but we cannot find where. And the earth is a big place. We're still discovering places. So I don't know. The other book is the Possibility Thinkers Bible, which is also Revised Standard. I sort of depend on this book also, which I am more of that background, of a Christian background. And more or less, if anybody today qualify themselves to be Christian, I also can qualify myself to be Christian. But I don't envy somebody saying that he's a Christian. I don't envy. Not at all. There is nothing that envies, or there's nothing that is admiring so much of what I seek of God that should make me envy somebody claiming to be a Christian. Knowing what I know, and knowing the person that makes the claim. I mean, I don't envy that kind. But my anger and my suspicion will go out to whatever spiritualist or whatever faith that reflects in a very successful way, and my curiosity will sort of focus on discovering what really did they do, or what is causing them to be successful, what is making them get what they get. And that has prompted all these things, because I then analyze the book, analyze the way of life of the people. I see the contradictions. I see they are not following the book, and they are making their success. Yet they are claiming that the book is the reason. They also try to blend their way of life with the book, forcing something into the mouth of another. That's all it is. It's like somebody putting words in my mouth. The human life, the generation we are in, are putting words in God's mouth, in their own God's mouth. Not God uttering the word, but they are putting the words in God's mouth. They are putting the way life should be into God's ideas. They're saying that, God, we are giving you the idea. At the end of the day, this is how we want to live our life, and you have to blend with us or agree with us. Because there's nothing we can do. And in some sense, they are right. Because at the end of the day, practically, there's no one there they are talking to. But in their own conscience, their actions also is speaking loudly. A man's action speaks loudly. So the book actually is in regards to in relations to the human life in the book, the faith followers and the believers. There is that contradiction. It becomes a controversial book. It becomes a sensitive topic that you and I would like to look into, that you and I demand to look into, you and I have a responsibility to look into. And I'm not the only one. I'm sure many people, that the institutions themselves sit down and they sort of analyze it every day. But the thing is, most of all these people would like to keep it within. Nobody want to just put it out there, because there are some elements that needs to be considered. If you can just throw it all out there and say, this is it. No. It has cultural significance. It has strong religious basis significance that needs to be considered at all times, because it somehow has spoken to millions of people from generation to generation. And so it has to be carefully